Take a farmer,
a photographer,
and a teenage girl,
buy a bus,
add a dog,
and let the adventure begin.
Welcome to episode 3, On the Run, Life in a Bus, and you're here with Candice and Tom. This week we're going to go through our trip west, our west run, our very first trip away in the bus. But secondly, we better recap episode 2 where we started ripping out the bus and doing our design process. And then getting it ready for this little trip. And we were initially going to go to the Whit Sundays, but COVID and Queensland border lockdowns happened, so we decided to head west instead. Listener questions this week. Emma, thank you, Emma, for asking questions. Emma would like to know what were Ali's thoughts on buying a bus and bus life. Now, next episode, Ep4, is going to be a chat with Ali and go over what she thought was going on when we turned up with a bus in her life. At I think she was about 14 when we bought the bus. So
yeah, but the initial plan wasn't to travel with Ali. It was wait till Ali finished school.
Yeah, it was definitely, there was always going to be just like a little holiday thing. And then when she finished year 12 and was on uni and we were empty nesters, hit the road. But it didn't quite pan out like that. But we'll get Ali's thoughts on that in the next ep. And the little motivational for this week, appropriate to this episode, I think. We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. That's a lovely little one to start this week. So, rightio, we were based in Tamworth, or just south of Tamworth on our cattle property.
Yeah.
COVID happened. We couldn't go to the Whit Sundays. And we went west. And west, first day was Cobar.
Yeah, we got to Cobar. We were going all right until we hit a few of the hills near Coonabarabran and the other side of Coonabarabran, head towards Gilgandra. Didn't like them a lot.
No.
But other than that, it sat on 100 pretty well, 90 to 100. It sat on pretty well, just with the trailer and the bike, couple of bikes on a little box trailer.
Yep, little bus here. She doesn't love the hills, but chugs along, and we get there eventually. Thankfully, bus life means we're in no rush to get anywhere in particular. We stayed at the G'day Park in Cobar on power. It was our first night away, so we weren't going to give the solar a run yet.
No, but I think it was fairly expensive from memory. I think it was $50 or something a night, at Cobar, because it was only a caravan park, so they sort of dictated terms.
And we were sort of stuck down the back of the park, prickly patch. It wasn't. We couldn't really say a lot of great things for the Cobar caravan park.
No.
I mean, it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't outstanding.
Double charged just because they were on 2 lots.
Double charged just because we're a bus. We do get that a little bit. Not as much as I thought we would, but we do get that a little bit.
What was I reckon the other thing I noticed there was I remember getting up early the next morning going for a run, and all the husbands lined up emptying the shitters.
Yeah, emptying the toilet cassettes.
Oh, yeah, I shan't be doing that. Oh, surely you can walk to the toilet.
That was Tom's rule, really straight on. Whoever shits in the portaloo empties the portaloo, and that's something we've carried on. So Tom's yet to have to empty the toilet cassette. He hasn't had to do the morning walk like all the other husbands in the caravan park.
There was no chance. There was a line at the dump point.
And Cobar itself, we quite didn't mind Cobar, but it was one of those towns in real decline. Like you could just see that it must have been something big, but it just was going backwards.
There were some nice areas. I went riding. I don't think you came. I went riding on my push bike out to Newey Reserve, it's called. It's like a little lake in town there, and had a walking track around. It was a really nice sort of area. And then the other thing I remember from Cobar was the Miners Heritage Park, and a lot of people free camp there, which I think it's sort of the big Cobar sign as you first come in.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got to get their photo with the iconic Cobar sign. I think that's a rite of passage. But the Miners Memorial and things there, the walkthrough was quite interesting, and a bit of the history on the town. I did enjoy that. And giant beer can in the main street.
Yeah, we went for. I think you got a fairly few photos. There's a lot of old buildings and that in Cobar that you photoed when you're walking around.
Yeah, it's quite a nice place, but a place definitely in decline, not going forward, I don't think, for old Cobar at this stage.
No, that's right, but definitely worth the trip out. But you only need 1 or 2 days, and you would have saw the whole lot and been down every street.
Yeah. it was cold. We were middle of winter too, so I think we're all in our heavy gear. It was August, so I think we're down to sort of 2 or 3 degrees at night each night out there when we went west. And day 2 we went out from Cobar to White Cliffs.
Yeah, but I think we fueled up before we left Cobar, and I think we're both fairly surprised at the fuel economy running out west. I think we were about 22 or 22,
22,
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was one of my things I did note after the trip, that we used the same amount of fuel as a Land Cruiser towing a big van. So we were all pleasantly surprised at fuel economy. But once we did get past the hills there at Gilgandra, it was pretty flat running, so that helped.
Yeah, that's
Definitely
right.
helped.
Yeah.
But, yeah, from Cobar to White Cliffs.
Yep, White Cliffs. It was about, once you turn off the highway, it's about 70 k's out, I think. Few grids and that. Not a bad road. Easy, like, wasn't ribbon tar or anything. It was easy to get off in the bus. And then to the caravan park, which is, I don't think it's ever had grass on it. It was
No.
all rock and whatnot, and pay $1 for the shower to have hot water.
But we loved White Cliffs.
Oh, absolutely. Great spot.
We'd go back to White Cliffs. It's just this cool little community with a great vibe. Our big tip is get into the caravan park early, because it'll be empty when you get there, and then it'll be full by about 3:30 in the afternoon. So make sure you get into the caravan park early. And I remember the people in the caravan park there being great, and all the quirky little art everywhere, and the opal fields right at the back. We both really loved White Cliffs.
Yeah, and they still had the old, was one of the first places to have solar panels or something, wasn't it? I think it was
something
solar
like that,
panels, and they had the old one there to run the old town.
Yeah, but and no hot showers in the caravan park unless you paid your $1 to use the hot water. Got a picture. It's right out in the middle of the desert, so water is at a premium out there. So if you have the capacity and you're heading to White Cliffs, I definitely would recommend filling up the tanks and trying to leave the town's water supply for those guys, because they are in the desert, and water's a bit of a precious commodity out there. And then I think one of the highlights of the whole trip was doing the the underground opal tour at White Cliffs.
Yeah, I think it was Red Earth was the name of the opal. It says on Google here now that it's closed, but I think that was the one that we did it through, and you went through, and you because they're well known for their pineapple opals, yeah, and he'd show you the spots. He pulled out millions of dollars of pineapple opals where he hid them in the band.
Yeah. And we had a little go at digging. Ali found one about the size of her thumbnail, but Tom and I couldn't spot them. They just looked like dirt to me. I was no good at spotting opals whatsoever. And yeah, I think that was a real highlight. The tour guy who owned the mine was fabulous, informative, but casual and relaxed, not too sort of stiff-collared about it all.
No, he was really good. I think he's actually off that. He was on the Opal Hunters. His son or something was on the Opal Hunters, and he had a big sort of mine.
Yeah, no, we love White Cliffs, and I think it's on our sort of, if we get back there, to spend maybe a little bit more time, because it was just our test run and we just spent a night there. But I think we could have probably spent another couple of days in.
Yeah, and that's the only spot we took the motorbike off the whole trip, I think. And we just went for a ride around
through the opal fields.
Yeah, and there's a couple of lookouts and whatnot. It's not a bad ride or drive.
At the I then took the drone up for a fly, and in the afternoon in White Cliffs, and I was about 120 meters above the opal fields when the rotor blade just sheared off, and the poor old drone fell to the earth like a shot duck, never to fly again. And we learned over the next few days how hard it is to get drone replacement parts when you're in far western New South Wales. So if you do head out that way, make sure you've got all spares of everything that you think you might need.
Yeah, learn how to fly.
Learn how to fly, one or the other might help. What else could be? Oh, and the night sky. Once you get out in the desert for that whole western New South Wales, the stars are just something else. Like the night sky over those opal fields. I took some photos. They're up on our on the sister page, CJO Photography. But the night sky out there is just something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next day we woke up and we went from White Cliffs to Silverton.
That's right. Yeah.
Via Broken Hill.
Yeah.
Had a disagreement in Broken Hill about.
No, that was on the way back.
But did we find getting lost in Broken Hill? Did we have problems with getting around the streets in Broken Hill?
I can't remember.
I think the navigator and me and you might have all had a differing opinion on how we got through Broken Hill and out to Silverton that day.
Yeah, probably.
Sounds familiar.
We got there.
We got there eventually,
Yeah.
and we stayed at Penrose Park at Silverton, which
Yeah.
is the caravan park
Great
out there.
caravan park.
Great caravan park.
Big areas, park where you want.
The hottest showers with the best pressure for that whole trip. I remember having it was a fabulous park, and again the staff there were really good.
Yeah, and then it was just like a little walk across the sandy creek bed, and you're in the town of Silverton.
Yeah, we just walked across the sandy, dried up creek bed, and into Silverton itself. The walk in was fabulous, just the big old river gums and the red sand, and then walked around all the ruins in Silverton. I bought some nice art in Silverton. That was lovely. It was a little bit stage showy, wasn't it? Like it was. I know it is a set for a movie.
Yeah.
But it felt like a set for a movie. It didn't really feel authentic the way White Cliffs had been authentic.
No, I didn't mind it because you actually walked around and you could see they had the little signs up for what everything was. You know, this was the old Catholic church, this was the old Anglican church, and some of the buildings had been restored. Like they're obviously old buildings, and they'd restored a few, and then a lot had gone to ruins.
And we saw the Silverton donkeys down at the pub.
Yeah,
pretty cute. Three little donkeys just cruising around the street.
And then we went for a drive out to Mundy Lookout.
Oh yeah, we went out to Mundy Plains, saw where Mad Max was filmed. We actually thought about free camping out there, but the wind, I remember, was
we took the bus out there initially in the wind, and then we came back, I think.
Yeah, the wind was just horrendous out there on the plains, but I guess that's why they've got a big wind farm out there, catch those breezes. But Silverton was great, but again, I felt like a day or two out there was probably enough. We just spent the one night, but I just felt it was a bit theme showy.
Yeah, you spent the afternoon going around the town and you'd seen it all.
Yeah. And then so we're up to day 4. We went from Silverton to Menindee via Broken Hill.
Yeah.
Broken Hill.
We were doing some shopping on Broken Hill, I think.
Stopped to do some shopping and try to buy some drone parts when we had a huge family tantrum. It was cold, but the day itself was maybe about 20 degrees, and Ali decided she needed a huge duffel coat on, or she wasn't going to get out the bus. And it was the stupidest family argument, and it kind of ended up with she wouldn't get out of the duffel coat, and then she wouldn't get out of the bus, so she was forcibly removed from the bus.
That's right. That's what you said. Drag her out and sit her at the front of the bus.
Tom's picked her up, ceremoniously dumped her on the grass beside the gutter in Broken Hill Centre, one huffy teenager, and then we've locked the door on the bus and said, "Oh, we're going to do our day, and you can sit out here and sulk if you like." And it was one hell of an argument, and it's quite funny to look back on now, but we were both all so angry and upset at the time. It was just the stupidest thing. We also had the fueling debacle in Broken Hill. We had trouble finding a servo with a high roof to get the bus in, and we found one eventually, and we just snuck under.
I think we were trying to find cheap fuel.
Might have been cheap fuel. We snuck under a very low awning.
Yeah, and I turned around and came back, and I came on the wrong side.
Yeah.
And then all the aerials, we got under. It was just all the aerials hitting on the tin roof, which made it sound a lot worse than what it was.
And the owner and attendant at the servo gave me a bit of a lecture about the ruthlessness of driving a big bus into his driveway. But he was rather mollified when we put a couple of $100 worth of fuel in. I think that placated him a little. And then from there we head out to Menindee Lakes, and we drove through a dust storm, didn't we, on the way from Broken Hill out to Menindee. It was foul weather by the time we got to Menindee. And I have history there. Ali and I went to Menindee in 2012, and we just rolled in with my parents, just doing a random road trip through the area. And we'd stayed at Lake Panamaru, and I'd had the best sunset that I'd probably ever seen in my life. And I still put, after everything we've seen, I still put Menindee in my top 3 sunset spots in Australia. So I was so keen to go back to Menindee. Better camera, better knowledge, better skills. I was going to be prepared. I was going to catch the best sunset image in my life, and it just didn't quite work out that way, did it?
No.
We had awful weather. It was overcast and grey
Yeah. Well, we tried. Well, we go initially, and we tried to stay at a caravan park.
at Menindee Lakes.
Yeah,
At
and
Menindee Lake, the
yeah,
Menindee
and
Lake.
then you couldn't find a phone number or
It was
anything
like
for that.
abandoned ghost town, so I don't know what was
Yeah, and it
happening
was
there.
just full of permanents, and yeah, you couldn't find anything. And then we went to another caravan park.
At Kobe Hollow, and they couldn't fit us in.
Yeah,
And
uh,
we're starting to get a little bit desperate, and there's
yeah,
not a lot of options in Menindee, so we ended up free camping out at the Burke and Wills.
yeah.
I
I'm
think it was
sure it was a
Burke and
Burke and
Wills
Wheels.
free
It's
camp.
right on the, right on the Wee.
Yeah, yep, at
Yeah,
Lake Panamaru, and that was our first night off grid. So we finally found somewhere. We're facing vaguely west, but we couldn't really see the water from the bus. I'd gone down to photograph the sunset, and I got nothing but dismal grey.
yeah. It was blowing
Nothing.
a gale.
Blowing a gale. The
Yeah,
sand was
because
whipping up.
we were planning to camp on the side of the lake, and
Yeah,
then
we
we
had to,
couldn't camp, and we ended up going over near the weir and ducking underneath to get out
yeah,
of the wind.
hid behind like the dam wall kind of thing to shelter from the wind. Anyway, so I've gone out, taken my photos. I'm disappointed. 12 years in the making. I'm so disappointed with the photos. Nature hasn't turned on the sunset that it had 12 years ago. And I've stomped back to the bus, and I'm sitting in the bus sulking a little bit. And I happened to look out the window. Thank God for that big back window we decided to leave in. And I've just seen this amazing purple colours coming up the sky. And I've grabbed my camera. I've said some swear words. I've got my left shoe on my right foot, and I'm belting down the dam bank. And I ended up getting 4 or 5 beautiful coloured photos before the sun disappeared. But so Menindee's still top 3 sunsets in Australia, right up there with Berrubi Beach at Anna Bay and Karumba in the Gulf. But haven't been west yet, so that might change when we get west.
No. And that's I reckon that camp area was a pretty popular spot at Menindee there. Like there was just caravans all the way along.
Yeah. Another cool spot like big night skies, red desert. If you're into that sort of space, I love Menindee. Menindee's my happy place. But yeah, first night off grid, everything functioned as it should. We didn't have any problems. Ali and Tom got the push bikes out, I remember, and rode up the dam a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then we went from Menindee out to Kinchiga.
National Park, yeah, stayed near the woolshed.
Yeah, at Emu Lakes Campground near Kinchiga Woolshed. Again, somewhere Ali and I'd been to before, but first time for Tom. And the old Woolshed there's great, lots of history around there.
The national park had just started spending a lot of money there too. They've started doing up the showers, and then there was like shearing quarters you could stay in, and it was actually you actually had to go back across the river to get to the showers. But once you got across there, they were pretty good. Like
Yeah,
they were doing a really good thing there.
brand new amenities and things. It was nice to see some money being spent in there. I think it was like $7 each a night or something to stay there, so super cheap, camping. And when it's going into new amenities and things like that, you really don't mind spending that kind of, money to see all the facilities upgraded. And I just remember in Conchiga the best sunsets, western red kangaroos, all the mulga scrub. It's just beautiful out there. And we were sitting around the campfire. We've got a little fire going. The stars are amazing. We've got a little glass of Shiraz, and sitting back and thinking, this is the life for us. This is the life. And I remember Ali was saying that everything was a little bit off balance because I was so chirpy in the morning. So all that bus life definitely. Oh, that goes the GoPro running out of batteries in the background. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I got a little quote here I saved from the day, and it's Ali says, "You're so chirpy. It's not like you. You're a little chirpy yesterday, but today's just scary and abnormal." And I think that was us starting to unwind and just see the potential of what life in a bus might be.
That's it. It was a beautiful spot there, Conchega. I remember going for a ride on my push bike. I thought there was like an old homestead, the original old homestead, and that. I thought, oh, I'll go for a ride there. And I went for a ride, and the old homestead was 2 sheets of tin and a couple of bricks that were left in the thing. And then I thought, oh, I'll just go for a ride around the river. And then once you get down on the river, you go out of this scrub, it goes 10 degrees cooler because it was pretty hot when we were there. And then I rode right around the river, beautiful big old gum trees all the way around, and these camp spots, like spots you'd never get the bus to. But brilliant spot. I think if you were going in a ute or something out there, like there's
Bit
just
the roof. Well, we'd use the rooftop now.
yeah, beautiful little secluded spots by yourself right around the river. It was such a nice spot.
Yeah, yeah. Conchiga again. That whole western region I really love. And again, we were off grid there.
Yep.
Enjoyed our time. Everything was working well.
Yep.
Had no problems. It didn't have a lot of battery power, but we were getting by because the days were sunny. So, long as
Yep.
we were sort of sensible about what we were using, I think everything worked pretty well. Day 6, we time to sort of start making our way back towards Tamworth, and we went from Conchiga, and we ended up staying at a little spot called Florida Rest Stop, which is between Cobar and whatever the next big town
After
is.
2 hours on the dirt,
Yeah.
and the kangaroo that smashed the spotlight out of the front of it.
Yeah, we took the eastern side of the river run back towards Wilcannia. There's an east and a west track of the Darling River run there, and we took the eastern track. It was pretty corrugated and rough, but it changes all the time. So this was a few years ago. It could be good now, it could be worse. But we come along there, minced our first kangaroo, smashed a headlight.
Yep, smashed the headlight. You now have spotlights up, probably for the best.
Now it works a bit better. We put LEDs in the gap, I guess, so it kind of worked out in the long run. But we'd been out in the desert really for a few days. We hadn't really talked to anyone or been anywhere. And we popped back into civilization at Cobar, if you call Cobar civilization. And we got a little bit of a rude shock about COVID lockdowns, didn't we?
Yeah, we were coming back, and I think it was not long after the drug dealers had bought it back to Wilcannia, and then they'd spread it out in dots all the way back along. And we're in the Cobar Shire. Is it Cobar or the Bogan Shire?
I'm not sure what it's called.
Yeah, and it wasn't in lockdown, but the next, I think Gilgandra Shire was in lockdown, and if we stopped in Gilgandra,
we had to stay.
You had to get home and then do 7 days of isolation. So we went right to the edge of the Cobar Shire,
right beside the Cobar Shire sign, pretty much, and we found a free
for
stop.
night.
And we consulted with the COVID hotline, and they told us that as long as we didn't exit the bus between the edge of the Cobar Shire and getting home, we were fine.
Yeah, as long as we didn't stop.
As long as we didn't stop, as long as we didn't exit the bus. So we made sure we had fuel, we had basic groceries, and we just sort of set ourselves up on the edge of the Shire, ready to blast through. But I actually really love that little spot on the side of the road there. It was quite cute.
It was right next to the railway line, I think, and we lit a fire, and it was quite nice outside.
Yeah, just lovely and relaxing in the red dirt, and off the highway a fair way. We didn't have any road noise or anything, and there's some sort of questionable long drop loos there for use.
Yeah, the sort, all the ones across that you would go to walk up to the loo and you go, oh, I think not, I might go in the bush. When you can smell it from 30 metres away, you might be in trouble.
Yeah, so we stayed at the Florida Rest Stop, and that was our last night on the grid and off the grid, and still everything working really good. Hadn't started a generator or anything, so it was all going really well. And early to bed, get ready for a huge drive from Cobar back to Tamworth the next day.
Yeah, that's right. The whole way. But yeah, be a bit less than day one.
A little bit less than day one. Yeah. So up early, coffee, hit the road, just as the sun come up.
Yeah.
And we were going all right. We were doing pretty good until we got to Warrumbungle Shire, was it? Or
just outside of Gilgandra.
Oh, just outside of Gilgandra.
Yeah, when the tyre, we just had a nice explosion.
That's probably the bus life fun fact for the day. When a tyre goes off in a bus, it sounds like someone got shot with a shotgun, because we all jumped about 6 foot, except Tom, who drives trucks and knew exactly what the noise was. But me and Ali were like, what is that? What's that bang? And it was our rear tyre.
Yeah, inside dual, of course.
Always the inside dual. Never the outside, always the inside.
Yeah, and then the spare was a little bit doughy, and I had a little generator, and we
a little compressor.
Yeah, a little compressor, and we pumped it up with that, got it up to 90 psi, and got us home. And
then the very next thing we did was buy new tyres for the whole lot. But It was a bit dicey change because there wasn't a big pullover area for us, was it? Like we were right on the edge
No,
of the road.
I drove for a fair while before I pulled over.
But
yeah.
we were right on the edge of the road, weren't we?
Yeah, I think I ended up pulling up on the opposite side just so we weren't stuck in traffic.
But, yeah.
But being a dual at the back, I can keep travelling for a while until I've got to actually do it.
And then it's probably at that point I realised that I probably couldn't change a bus tyre by myself. Just the sheer weight and strength required to lift them on and off and things. I'm probably glad I had Tom, and Tom's experience with that sort of thing, so that was good. But I kind of count myself as a pretty handy chick, and I can definitely change a tyre on a car, but changing that tyre on the bus, I think that would have brought me undone had I been by myself. But,
you would have got it done. A couple of levers.
Maybe.
You would have worked it out.
Maybe. And I don't know if Tom's got a joke prepared for us. He's a bit unprepared this week, so we're going to skip the Tom joke.
Yeah, always unprepared.
He just wings it. Hey, you want to feel like you're a podcast this morning? Yeah, let's do a podcast.
That's right. Just wing it.
Just wing it. That's Tom's whole bus
Everybody
life
knows now you don't need to put a toilet in your bus.
No.
They all know you don't need it.
You don't need it. And then, so next episode 4, we're going to have a chat to Ali. She's been pretty quiet so far. She tells us she's going to partake in podcasting, but she's been pretty quiet.
She didn't even come and defend herself.
No.
2 of us carting her out of the bus.
No, she didn't even get
Do you want to defend yourself before we stop, Al?
No. We're getting the no signal from down the back. Yeah, so next we're going to go and have a little chat to Ali about what she thought was going on when her parents bought a bus and her thoughts about tripping around in a bus and what bus life might be. And that's it for this week. Tune in again next week, and we look forward to chatting to you all again then. Make sure you follow us on all the social media channels at O'Neill's on the Run, and tune in regularly to come along with us on this crazy adventure.